12:30, so we will start on time today, which is very new. Normally we have 5 minutes, so if we have people wondering 5 minutes late, we can all make fun of it. Welcome everybody to the MIB Brown Bags. Who is coming to the Brown Bags for the first time? Couple hands are great.
Thank you
guys
so
are welcome. Just to give you a heads up, for those that are new, we meet every couple of weeks at lunchtime. The reason we call it a brown bag, you can bring your lunch in a brown bag. And it is a conversation. What we do is we look for interesting speakers. We're lucky enough to have a very interesting speaker today. I'm not sure, Sam, how are you going to run it today? Are you going to take questions during the session?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it'll be pretty interactive. Just by way of introduction of Sam, I've known Sam for maybe six, 7 years now. We met back in South Africa. Most good things come from South Africa, and I'm biased. But Sam was working in mainly Cape Town as originally I knew you as a Scrum Master or Scrum Coach, and from there she's done all sorts of really interesting things. And in the past, it's a little weird because normally I'm used to it being Sam and Karen.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get Karen in today, but Sam works now for Datacom in New Zealand and doing a whole bunch of interesting things from an advisory panel. With that, I just want to welcome to Sam and we'll hand over to her.
Cool. So let's skip right ahead then. So that's me, Sam, the Agile coach. I really love red wine. I like drinking ice with my red wine. So yes, I'm a weirdo like that. That's my wife and our dogs. They are still en route to New Zealand. 12 more sleeps and then they will be here. It's quite a mission getting dogs into this country. And I love gardening. So I had a huge vegetable garden at home and I'm going to start my New Zealand vegetable garden shortly, as soon as this weather's a little better. And right now I work at Datacom as an Agile coach in their advisory team. This is Karen that Mark mentioned. Karen Greaves was my business partner for 7 years in South Africa, and we only pair worked. So most of the stuff we came up with in 7 years, we co-created, including this presentation. So she's not here to share it with you. I'm going to still share her stories as if they're my stories because I've heard them for 7 years. So they're kind of almost my stories now. She works at TradeMe now as a product manager, something. She does something at TradeMe with ads. So the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of movement. You don't have to move. You can just turn in your chairs to the person next to you. And I want you to tell them what testing means to you. So just turn to someone in the room and tell them what testing means to you. Okay. Not sure if you guys are familiar with this or not. Anyone familiar? Excellent. Well done. Good to know. I had to teach other people that. So let's hear, and this time just use your hands as an indicator. Who said testing was about checking? Who mentioned the word checking? Excellent. Who said it was about finding bugs? Who said it was about breaking things? Who thought it? Okay. Who said the testers are the ones that check for quality? Yeah? And who said it's a phase or something that happens after development? Excellent. So what I'm going to hopefully do today is convince you that testing is none of these things anymore at all. Yeah? So that's my goal in the next more or less 20 to 30 minutes. Let's see how far I get. Let's start with testing as a phase. Do you guys have a board like this? Anybody have a board like this? That's called waterfall. See how it goes from one to the next? Yeah? So testing as a phase is not how we work in Agile. That's a very old way of thinking of testing. How we work in Agile is testing as an activity. So it should just be a task. And it should be amongst the many tasks that you do to complete work, complete a story. So a couple of things that tips I want to give you here, is if you have your testing tasks and your development tasks like that, aim to finish the testing tasks first. Yeah? Who thinks that's possible? 2 people. Okay, we'll work on that. Still got 25 minutes. So if you do that and you color code your testing tasks and your dev tasks, I want you to try and get the testing tasks done first, okay? Think of a testing task as writing a test case for something. You don't need the dev to be finished to write the test case. You can write it before the dev even starts, yeah? Then there's this extra little column over here called the show me column, yeah? Hands up if you do code reviews. Do you do code reviews at a task level or at a story level? Okay, so this kind of replaces code reviews. What it says is every single task has to go through the show me column. And a task should be really small. So a show me should be about 5 minutes. And you call someone over and you show them. Who's heard of the rubber duck thing? Lots of people, right. So the show me column is your rubber duck. You are simply showing someone what you did and talking through it, and 90% of the problems you should find for yourself. Super quickly, super easily, without any problems. It also helps with things like if I'm a tester and I call you over and I go, just have a look, this is the test case I've written, and you go, oh, but I'm not writing it in, I don't know, I'm testing for capital letters, I'm not writing it in capital letters. Oh, but I'm testing it capital letters. Okay, let's go find the product owner and clarify what it should actually be before we go any further. Yeah? Cool.
Show me and 3 amigos are similar, you're mentioning? Or?
Very similar, yes. So 3 Amigos is from George Dinwiddie. And yeah, very similar backgrounds. We spent a lot of time talking at conferences, so it's possible I stole it from him. Or he stole it from me. One or the other. Okay, finding bugs. Who thinks it's testers' job to find bugs? Who thinks it's everyone's job to find bugs? Oh, it's okay. Still got 20 minutes, okay. So, let's talk about bugs. Think for yourself, how many points are in this picture? Just count for yourselves. I'm going to give you a few minutes, a few seconds. Okay, 20, 22? What? Give me numbers. 24, 40, 26. Anyone else want to try? Okay, so if this was code, we just had a whole bunch of bugs and only one person asked the right question. So if I tell you that's a point and that isn't a point, how many points are there?
10.
Well, which part of the sentence is
That is 1 point. That is nothing. How many points are there? Amazing. Look at that. No bugs. Just like that. So that level of conversation is what you should be doing for everything. Everything you do should be about preventing bugs. So our job isn't to find bugs. Our job is to just not create bugs in the first place. Bugs means there was a misunderstanding. It means we didn't talk about it enough. We didn't actually cover that specific scenario. So your job as developers and testers is to ask these questions, all the stupid questions. What about? What if? Why? When? How? How can we test this? Karen and I were working at a company as Agile coaches, and we were attending one of their refinement sessions or grooming sessions, whatever you want to call it. And they wanted this report done. And they explained what they want in the report, and the team went, okay, great, it's a 5. And Karen and I were like, wait. Why do you want this report? No, we want this report because they were a sales company, and they wanted to know who in the last month of their top 20 customers had dropped out of their top 20 list. That's what they wanted to know. And we were like, okay, but why do you want to know that? No, we want to know so that we can call them and see why they've dropped out and maybe put them back in the list. We're like, okay, well, is it the top customers from today to a month back, or is it from the start of the month to a month back? Is it from the 1st? Is it from midnight on the 1st or from the 12th? You know, what exactly is a month? No, just from the 1st backwards. Why? Eventually it got to, actually what they want to do is as soon as someone drops out, they want to be notified so they can call them. Not a report at all anymore. Now just an alert in the system. So reports are an itchy, scratchy place for me because reports exist when there's something else wrong with the system. So I tend to dig and scratch a bit deeper to see what's going on there. So yeah, think about that. Checking. So normal web page, I've checked that the field can accept, I don't know, it's a name field. I've checked that the field can accept letters, it can accept numbers. If it's more than 150 characters, it won't come in, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what's really good at doing that level of checking? Machines. Machines are really good at doing that. It's repetitive. It's boring as hell. Humans are not good at that because we get bored and then we do a half-assed job of it. But machines are great at doing that. So when you have stuff that needs to be checked, use a machine. Have automated testing. Use all of that for your silly testing. Save your human power for doing things like exploratory testing. Move to here. Exploratory testing, asking questions, figuring out how people actually use the system, why they use the system in that way. What are the shortcuts they do? If a bug keeps coming up, and you don't understand why it's coming up, explore how the users are using the system, because there's probably something special they're doing that you never in your wildest dreams thought they would do. Yeah? Breaking the system. Who thinks testers exist to break the system? No one?
I know testers.
I love breaking the system. I see it as like a personal little achievement when I've done something to break it. Don't any of you ever do that? I think you're lying. It's like a little bit of joy when you can figure something out to break a system. I travel a lot and I go through airports a lot, and the amount of screens I see with error messages on this is really, it's scary. There are a lot of Windows errors in this world. So a lot of people think it's the tester's job to break the system. And you know what? Breaking the system doesn't really help anyone. It just pisses people off and irritates them. So instead, we want to change it to we want to help build the best possible system. And that means asking the questions. That means talking to people. That means really having debates up front, not after the fact, about should we actually be building this? Is this in the best viewpoint of the user and of our customers? Is this something we really need? So from all of those points of views, it's building the best system together. then the last point was that the tester is responsible for quality. Who agrees with this? Just one. Still got 5 minutes. So the problem here comes in when everyone in the team wants to send something to production and someone goes, no. I'm not doing it because I'm going to be blamed. Well, in Agile, there is no I. It's the team. So the team needs to take responsibility for quality. If something goes wrong in production, the whole team has to sort it out as quickly as possible. And I promise you, when the whole team is taking responsibility for quality, they're a much better gate than a single tester. They won't let things through if they are going to be taking responsibility for it. So I've got a story around, it was the previous one actually, but anyway. A story around this, where it's Karen's story actually. She was doing work for Maersk, you know, the shipping containers. And they had a huge contract with them, and she was a project manager on this project. So not an Agile story even. And they had a deadline of 3 months to build this product for Maersk. And then it was being sent to an Indian testing company to be tested for quality assurance, to make sure that the quality was appropriate. So Karen said, well, can we get your quality assurance? Can we get the test cases? And they were like, no, because then you'll build something to pass it. And at the time, she was like, oh, yes, that makes sense. And now she's like, but wouldn't you want something to pass it? Isn't that exactly what you want, for the thing to pass your tests? So it really is kind of a different way of thinking. We're not trying to catch you out. We're actually trying to work together to get something that works for everyone. So the job of testing isn't for a tester. The job of testing is for a team. The aim is to ask all the questions you can, to figure out as much as possible in advance so that you're preventing bugs, not creating the bugs. To help build the best system instead of having joyous glee when things go wrong. When things go wrong, it's because you didn't ask enough questions in the beginning. And it's to use different techniques so that you are working together as a team and so that everyone is taking responsibility for testing. So now I want you to turn to someone, same person, different person, up to you, and tell them what testing means to you now. Hopefully there's a little bit of something different in there. Okay, so I want to leave you with my 3 top tips. So if you forget everything, that's okay. Remember these things. In my head, there's no such thing as a tester. Everyone is a tester. Everyone has a testing mindset. So ask the questions, how can we test that? All the time. Just throw it into random conversation, because you'll be amazed at what comes out when people think differently. How can we test that? Just write it down, have a reminder on your phone, and just throw it out there to the world every now and then. Use a show me column on your board. So if you have a testing column, just change the label at the top to be show me. Write up your testing tasks and use the show me column. I promise you, this is the single biggest change I've seen on teams. with the quality of their work and how quickly they output things and spread knowledge across the team. And number 3, try and do all the test tasks first. If you get it right, buy chocolates or something and celebrate, because it is possible. You should be testing ahead, not afterwards. So this is the testing manifesto. Testing throughout, over testing at the end. Preventing bugs over finding bugs. Testing understanding over checking functionality. Building the best system over breaking the system. And team responsibility for quality over tester responsibility. So take a photo, stick it up. Use it, please. And that's it. Thank you.
So what we'll do is we've got time for a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So maybe 1 or 2 questions and then we'll just close it from there.
Loads of time. Any questions? Yeah.
So how would this work in an environment where dev team uses TDD? So they don't really have a certain tester as such.
Good.
The dev teams are being testers themselves. So
Good.
Is that more targeted towards this manifesto?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-developer, and we are not very good at thinking about how things can go wrong. We are very good at thinking about what we can build that excites us. So asking the question, how are we going to test that up front? And when you say you're doing TDD, do you do test first or test after?
Test first.
Excellent. So talking about all those tests in advance and possibly splitting up who writes the tests and who writes the code to implement it might also help. Because then when you do your show me, you can show someone else.
Thank you.
Cool.
I've got a question. Is it a good practice to achieve this actually I'm a developer, so achieve where the testers head for a day or so in a week to do the hardcore testing so that you get more better being a tester also?
So do any of you watch those medical TV shows, with surgeries and that? Yes? So how they do it, right, is the students watch a surgery, then they help with the surgery, and then the next one they have to do it themselves. Yeah? This is like people's lives. I'm a firm believer that if they do that for people's lives, we can do that with code and everything too. So if you've created all these tasks as a team, and you've read a few test cases that a test has put through the show me column, the next time there's a test task to write a test case, just take it and do it yourself. And then show the tester. If they're happy with it, excellent. So there's no reason why any one person should be responsible for anything. The team should be responsible and should be able to do everything. If you do only have one tester on your team, you definitely should be spreading that load amongst the whole team. Use them for what they're really good at, which is their mindset and asking those testing questions and doing exploratory testing and those kinds of things.
Okay, with that, Sam, thank you.
Thank you.
The chocolates to say thank you. Thanks guys for coming through, and please just check the meetup site. You'll see next event coming up. I don't know if we know who the
I
next
think it's
is.
Carolyn.
Carolyn.
I think.
Okay, so there'll be something happening next week, so you'll see then. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.